So today we're speaking with Judson Walls. He's the owner of Constant Water in Warrenton, Virginia. He's going to tell us about how search engine optimization, also known as SEO, has helped his business. So Judd, just start by telling us a little bit about your business. What does Constant Water do? How does it help people?
You bet. And thanks, Yvonne, for inviting me to talk. Constant Water is a system we developed several years ago. It is a whole house emergency backup water system for homes and even businesses that may be on water wells or at-risk public water systems. People, I think we all, to a large degree, take water for granted. It always seems to be there until it's not. And then we wonder, well, what do we do? How are we going to wash our hands? How are we going to cook? How are we going to do something as simple as flush a toilet?
Right.
And for people that may be in areas where storms and hurricanes are a big risk, they see this every year, particularly during hurricane season. The entire Gulf Coast and East Coast are at risk, even people on public water. So our system is a way that people can always be prepared for these storms and be prepared for any water out scenario. Our systems are plumbed in line. Our tanks are always full, and the water is always being recycled, so it's always fresh. It doesn't take any effort on the part of the homeowner to keep that water fresh. And then when the power goes out or the water main breaks, our system will activate, or they can activate our system and have potable water available throughout the house. So they don't have to buy bottled water, fill sinks and tubs with water, and cart water around the house in bowls or buckets.
Right. I've personally experienced this. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. We had a hurricane come through and we were without water for a day, and you really appreciate how much you take water for granted when you're without it.
Well, absolutely. And you don't know if it's going to be out for an hour, a day, or a
Right.
week.
That's the worst of it. You just don't know, and at the time they were saying there were people without water for days. We were fortunate.
Right.
It went back on
Right.
like within 24 hours, but it could have been days.
So we have 40, 80, and 120 gallon systems available, and we can add tanks together to increase capacity if people felt they needed more or just wanted to be better prepared. And we do that with regularity across the country. It's very exciting.
Great. Great. And this is a pretty unique product, isn't it? This was your own brainchild. You're not like distributing someone else's product. You created
No,
it.
this was
Right?
this was my brainchild. I say it was our. My wife and I bought our current home about 15 years ago. It was our first time on a water well.
Mm-hmm.
And when the power went out the first time and we were suddenly without water, I'm a pretty mechanically oriented guy, and I realized immediately what happened. But my wife's first response when I told her was, "What do you mean I can't flush the toilet?" Well, there's no water. So
Yeah.
I ultimately started looking for a solution for us to buy and install. Discovered there wasn't anything out there, and spent several years then designing and developing and ultimately manufacturing the system. And we finally got to market about 2.5 years ago. With any new product, and like ours was largely a new product category in the plumbing systems industry. It's very hard to get the word out. People don't read print advertisements as much as they do. They don't read print much anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody is inundated with email advertisement or advertisement on websites and news sites and so forth. So they tend to tune it out, block it, or simply not read it.
So when you built your website, did you have search engine optimization in mind? Did you even know what SEO was, or did you just build your website and hope people would come?
Initially, we just built the website. Search engine optimization was an interesting concept, but we were trying with print and direct mail and direct email to use those methods as our means of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And people would stumble across us, but they would have to be doing some very specific searches to find us.
Right.
A few years ago, we completely redesigned the website. And even then, there were basic, very, very basic SEO methods employed, and that wasn't being very effective either.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, and it was largely from a push from you, and you providing a greater understanding of how it works, how the various search engines will key on things on a website, that really convinced us we need to look at this more seriously. And it has made a huge, huge difference.
So what have you done specifically to optimize your site for search?
We have done, we post more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
We will update the information on our site more frequently. We added additional landing pages to our website that focused on certain areas of the country. And
Mm-hmm.
each of those areas have threats or characteristics or weather conditions that are specific to large sections of those regions.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows people in California, for instance, to say Emergency Water Systems California, and we have one of our pages focuses on California and those regions of states.
Mm-hmm.
So they begin to pop up on search engines that when people are doing their searches.
Right. Well, it takes some time, but of course, if you were trying to do print advertising in every single state around the nation, can you imagine what that would cost?
It's just cost prohibitive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For smaller businesses as they're growing.
Right.
And obviously, as you're writing material for your website, whether it's the landing page information or posts that you'll do, search engine optimization is absolutely critical. And there are plugins for websites that really make a huge difference and make this whole black hole of search engine optimization much, much easier and much, much more effective.
So since you've optimized, tell me a little bit about what kinds of success stories you've had in terms of people finding you and actually placing orders for your systems.
Well, absolutely. We've had, it's probably the more farther reaching orders that we received that do the best job of showing how effective the search engine optimization can be. As I mentioned previously, those targeted landing pages, we've had people from California who experienced the power outages during the wildfires last year, suddenly realize, hey, when PG&E cuts our power to reduce the risk of wildfires, now we're without water.
Right.
How do we handle that? And for people on water wells, it's a huge issue. So they start looking for backup water, emergency water supplies, emergency water systems, and constant water starts popping up at the top of their search results. And that is purely a function of the search engine optimization ideas that you've encouraged us to take on and implement.
Right.
We have a dentist in Arizona that's outside of the major metropolitan area, also on a water well in a storm-heavy area. We have a recent client in outside Boulder, Colorado, on public water. But even public water is people on public water can lose water if the water main or damage due to a flood or mudslide or
Right.
hurricanes, tidal surges, and so forth. All
Right.
of these things
Yeah.
impact people's ability to have water. And the recent coronavirus panic buying
Hmm.
uh, suddenly left people without the ability to the things that we smile at the most: toilet paper and hand sanitizer. But
Uh-huh.
emergency water and bottled water uh, was hard to get if you could get it at all, and if you could get it, was severely rationed.
Right.
People on public water are realizing they just weren't adequately prepared and have reached out to us to buy our systems and install them.
I think you told me a story where you ended up getting referred to the state of Florida, didn't you, by someone in California that was researching options online, and you ended up getting referred over to the state of Florida. Do I
Uh,
have
we
that right?
got we got referred to a county in Florida to explore relocating our business to that county,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an interesting idea. There may have we just couldn't justify making the move to Florida, but we found it fascinating that a consulting company who was hired by the county in Florida to identify companies that would have products that would be of value uh, to the citizens in Florida, but also represent good business opportunities and opportunities to provide employment to expand employment in those counties, identified Constant Water as one of those companies.
And they identified you because they were searching online, if I understand it
Absolutely.
correctly. Right.
Absolutely.
So there's again an example for your SEO really
Right.
worked.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of our whole digital marketing effort has been not only the search engine optimization, but the social media advertising
Mm-hmm.
aspects as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we are now we have been trying for a couple of years to get our system into Puerto Rico for all of the reasons and justifications that people are
Mm-hmm.
aware of.
Right.
The hurricane damage that was done by Hurricane Maria, uh, the ongoing now earthquakes that they're experiencing that are damaging, severely damaging major power producers in Puerto Rico. And now that here they are entering the hurricane season yet again in a weaker position than they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of our Facebook targeting, we have been contacted by nonprofits in Puerto Rico who say your system is needed. We would like to work with you to bring this system in uh, for the people of Puerto Rico. So we
Right.
are part of that effort. We are donating 2 large systems to this nonprofit, and we will go there and work with them to install the system, bring people in to see the system and how it can help the people of Puerto Rico during hurricanes or earthquakes, and hopefully uh, find a way to make our system available much more broadly across the whole island.
Well, it's really amazing how digital marketing just opens up the whole world to you, really. And
Oh,
you're
it's
not just a local business.
oh
You could
exactly,
potentially be a global business, really.
exactly,
Uh-huh.
exactly. And I don't think anybody can deny that digital marketing absolutely has to have uh, a priority place in your marketing strategy.
Hmm. Well,
We're
tell me
just
about the Google My Business, because we did have a conversation about that, and you said that's helped you as well. Can you just say a little bit about how that helped?
uh, we did after your presentation several months ago on Google My Business, we we looked at that more closely. And like so many of the digital marketing opportunities or SEO related things, it's hard to understand what you're doing and how to do it best. And you and I had several conversations, and you made great recommendations on how to do it, how to even activate Google My Business, link it to the things we had done with Google in the past, and then help us to get recommendations from our existing customers as new customers come online, ask them to write a review. And that has also made a huge difference in how Constant Water is found on search engines. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with a virtual meeting with the Department of Veteran Affairs to explore what programs they had available under which Constant Water could be made available to disabled veterans at no charge. And they were very excited about the idea of whole house emergency water systems for disabled vets. They have several programs, grant programs, that the most severely disabled vets can apply for. And the Department of Veteran Affairs agreed that they would cover the cost of purchase, shipping, and installation of Constant Water systems to qualifying veterans around the country and across the country, and in Puerto Rico as well. During this conversation, they actually did a Google search of whole house emergency water systems, and they laughed because Constant Water occupied the top 4 slots on the first page.
Yeah, that's where you want to be, for sure.
of their Google query. They all laughed and said, "We don't know what you're doing, but it's working." So, that just goes back to the ideas that you've encouraged us, that you've offered to us, the recommendations that you've made to us, the encouragement that you've offered to us to do this and take it on, and the guidance you've provided as we've tried to do it and said, "What in the heck is this?" I develop and manufacture emergency whole house backup water systems. I'm not a digital marketer. I don't want to be a digital marketer. So the fact that you understand this, and you clearly do, and have solid, simple recommendations that even those of us that aren't in the digital marketing space can do, and can do on our own, has just made an absolutely huge difference. And we can't thank you enough, and can't tout your capabilities widely enough.
Well, thank you, Judd. I appreciate that recommendation. So tell us a little bit as we wrap up. Just tell us how people can find you online. Obviously, they can just search for you, but what is your website address?
Absolutely. We'll occupy the top 4 slots on a Google search. But we would rather people go directly to constantwater.com.
Okay.
On our website. They can reach us via email at info@constantwater.com. They can call us at 540-347-3440. We'd be happy to answer any questions they might have. We're just excited as can be about what we can do, and how many people we can help during these challenging coronavirus times. The coming storm season, the winter snowfalls, the spring floods, all of these are times when water is critical, and we would welcome the opportunity to talk with folks about how we might increase their water security for them and their families.